Are you a high-achieving dental entrepreneur frustrated by the gap between where you are and where you want to go? Are you tired of advisors whose advice keeps you merely surviving when you should be thriving? I'm Tim McNeely, and I believe you deserve to build true wealth so you can take even better care of the people you love, the causes you care about, and leave your dent in the universe. Welcome to the Dental Wealth Nation Show, where we hand you the keys to unlock true wealth quicker and with less effort than you ever thought. You may feel like you've got a good team in your office, but you may feel like they are capable of even more. And that's why I'm so excited that you are here today, is because by the time we finish, you're going to know why every single team member in your office deserves the opportunity to succeed. And we're going to go way beyond a job description, because when you put people first, your practice doesn't just grow, it thrives. You're going to have a fresh perspective on what your team really needs to succeed, plus a people-first framework that you can use right away to boost morale, alignment, and momentum. But most importantly of all, you are going to feel inspired and equipped to lead with clarity, build a happy team, and create a practice culture where everyone wins. I'm so just excited today because we've got Danielle Kramer, a good friend of mine, the founder and CEO of Easy Dental and Easy Dental Solutions. And it's just going to be absolutely amazing. Danielle, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tim. So excited to be here with you.
Oh my gosh, right? And what an important topic for you and I to be talking about is your team, because everyone really does deserve an opportunity to succeed, don't they?
They do. It's, for everyone that's ever heard me speak or just talking in general with friends and team members, the first thing I talk about is how important our team members are to us and, how they make or break an office. So yeah, I'm super excited to deep dive into this today.
So, and Danielle, you have an interesting background, right? Behavioral health, 21 years in dentistry. And with that, right, how did you really start on this people first approach? How did that first start to take shape in the work that you do with dentists?
Yeah, I first started in medical billing and found my way into dentistry and fell in love. And when I did, I was working as an assistant and working in the front office. When you start in the front office, what I feel like is in every front office, it's almost like we're just given these systems and these to-do binders and these lists of things. And our leadership teams just kind of say, like, have at it.
Hmm.
And again, it's like a sink or swim. And I recognized really quickly that our industry sort of turns people over pretty quickly. And I wanted to understand over my years why that continued to happen. What were we potentially doing wrong in our offices that we could change to help people thrive, get them growing in their roles and in their positions and in their space, and help them feel successful while also growing our offices. And so when I started to realize, like, this happens with the people, there was a lot of success around that. And so here I am today, and I think people come first, and they always have.
Wow, I love that so much. And was there a moment somewhere where you really realized that it's happiness, right? Team happiness that drives practice growth, right? It's not a KPI, it's not a key performance indicator somewhere. It's not, your morning huddle, right? All those things can lead to team happiness, but right, when did you really realize that it truly is team happiness that drives practice growth?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because when you say happiness, a lot of people think culture, right? So, and when you think culture, a lot of offices are like, well, I take my team out to lunch all the time and I do, coffee runs for them all the time. Culture isn't necessarily like what you give to the
Hmm.
people. It's honestly like the behaviors within. It's, do you have these open door policies? Like, are you guys having open communication all the time? Is it a, you know, I'm leading by example on everything I do and say, are you learning from me? And, as a leadership role in that office, that to me is happiness in people. It's not the leadership that's like, hey, I want you to do this, but I'm going to do something completely different. And so happiness and culture, I think, are one and the same. And so, yeah,
Hmm.
I realized just really quick that there just had to be this major shift in our offices to make sure that the people stayed happy, learning and thriving. And it wasn't about the numbers. There are so many times that we're like, numbers mean everything and numbers tell the story. Certainly they do. I'm a business coach. However, the people tell a story also.
Hmm.
We've got to look to them to understand whether or not we're going to be successful.
Wow. So, I think instinctually we may know what a unhappy team looks like, but walk us through, like, what does a happy team actually look like inside of a dental practice?
Yeah, you know what? I think it looks a little different everywhere, but um, when I walk into a practice and I know that every team member truly understands their role, they know what seat they sit in, they understand the metrics that they're working towards and why they're working towards them.
Hmm.
But most importantly, they don't feel lost along the way. And when I say that I coach really people first, I don't like handing out assignments to people and saying, okay, guys, here's this, now go do it. And the assignment could be just a written on an assignment piece of paper or to do, steps 1 through 10. Because you, Tim, might know it a little bit different than the person sitting next to you. And so it might be very different how I've got to go through this with different team members. And so a happy team when I walk in might be someone feeling very successful knowing those things, to their partner sitting next to them feeling really stuck on step number 5 and feeling afraid to go say something because they don't understand.
Hmm.
And so that fear in that team member really starts to hold the office back and the team back. And, the fear of communication. Those are all things within a team that I like to kind of pluck out right away and say, all right, what's going on here? Why don't we want to talk about this? Why are we not understanding? Let's start to figure out how we can push through these things.
Wow. So, right, with that team, right, those are some of the ways you can start, nudging that team towards being a happier team. But what are some common cultural red flags that you typically see in a practice?
How about closed doors all the time from our office managers or our
Mm,
doctors?
ooch.
Yeah,
It's a little close to home there, doesn't it?
it does. It's difficult. I'm the type of leader, and I like to help others to know that absolutely always come to me. My team is always welcome to come to me, and I always like them coming to me with an issue and a solution. And
Hmm.
then we deep dive into what that issue was and what their solution was and see if we're aligned with that, and then we give it a go. I like when that's the method that's going on in offices. When I see closed doors, when I see fear to communicate, um, when I know that team members are like, well, I don't want to go in there because they're not going to listen to me and make a change anyway. It's really, we've put up some red tape and it's
Hmm.
hard to push through that. And so we've got some unhappy members during those times, I'd say, and think it's really hard when we're working towards goals and meeting KPIs and growth. I don't think we always get there as fast as we could when we've got that red tape up.
Wow. So, I mean, is it as simple as starting to open your door, or are there other techniques to really start helping turn some of this around if you're spotting those red flags?
Yeah, I think that the most important thing is continued communication, right? So if we go back to making sure that our people and our teams come first, we're going to make sure that we're meeting with our team on a regular basis, that we're having our morning huddles and that they're valuable, that the communication going on in there is valuable, that we're meeting with our team leads. We've got an open door and that our team understands they can come to us with concern or questions, and if they're stuck on something, that they can come to us for guidance. Certainly, we set expectations around around all of this, so that it's not like, hey, just come to me whenever you need to, and I'll give you all the answers. So clear expectations, really great communication, and I certainly think that we can push through these problems.
Wow, interesting. Now, you mentioned communication, but communication isn't just what we say. There's another crucial point of communication. That's how you listen too, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Um, I think we've all heard like are we listening without like a response, right?
Hmm.
Did we hear the person that was talking to us, or did we listen with the intent to simply just respond?
Yeah.
I think that that's that's sometimes a skill that has to be learned from our leadership teams to know, like, certainly you can come in and chat with me, and I'm going to hear everything. And again, that's why I like the method of, you come to me with your issues, but I'd love for you to come to me with your solution also, because if your solution is something that we can run with, let's do it. And I'm going to put my trust into you, and let's hit the ground running with your solution, and let's make sure we have some alignment there, but let's hit the ground running with your solution. In a team that's got a little bit of some communication issues, the team doesn't seem as happy. That building that trust right there is something that goes a long way. And so I love when our managers and when our owner doctors really learn that, and they can move forward with that.
Wow, so powerful. And what role does vision and having a vision for your practice and a vision for your team play?
Our vision is huge. Imagine being hired into a practice and not knowing your doctor wanted to go from 4 ops to 10, and this massive growth, and understanding what their vision or their goals were. And all of a sudden you were stuck in it. And you just didn't understand really what they ever wanted, because they didn't share that. Um, I think owner doctors, and teams truly being aligned in what the visions of the practices are is super important. I
Hmm.
think having core value alignment is even more important. I think that everyone being aligned in what core values are, personally and professionally, is something that should always be talked about. Do you have the right people on your team? And is everyone going to be moving in the same direction to make sure that all of your goals are hit? We all have personal and professional goals. And I think, we're all working towards those continuously. And so I think it's very important that vision is shared.
And how does a doctor really work on communicating that vision to the team? Because oftentimes, right, if a doctor has taken that step and they've created the vision, the team may not be getting buy-in. And so how do you really move from just having that vision to communicating that vision in a way that gets your team to buy in?
Yeah, I think the doctors really got to work hard at that sometimes. You know, it's a little harder if it's a new concept. Um, when we take a new owner doctor to a practice, it's a little easier for that doctor to be super hyped up and really excited about what his vision is in this practice, and wanting to share what that is with the team. It can be a little bit harder for some of our owner doctors who have been in a practice for, 15, 20 years. And now these conversations are starting to happen. And we're saying, okay, let's share what this looks like with your team. That can feel scary. That can feel a little bit frightening for them to say to themselves, like, okay, I have to share what this looks like with my team now. But that buy-in is super important. If we want everyone moving in the same direction with these goals and meeting the same goals, we've got to share what this looks like. So I think we have a couple different scenarios, but ultimately getting some alignment from the team, and really that mindset shift for our owner doctors, is going to be important too.
Hmm. What are some mistakes that you see the owner doctors make when it comes to leading a team or communicating the vision to them?
Wow. Do we really want to go into that?
I think we should because, right, if you don't know where you're messing up, you don't know where to improve.
Yeah. No, um I don't think there's a class on this in school, right? I don't think that there's this like major leadership class or communication with teams class that these doctors are going through in school. And so I feel like there's a lot of struggle when there's situations that arise when, again, we say, like, all right, let's share the vision with the team. Well, I don't know if I want to do that. Well, let's share the goals. I don't
Hmm.
want to share my goals with the team because it sounds financial, but really it's just our numbers, right? We're trying to all reach specific goals in the practice. So, um, there's a lot of mindset work with our owner doctors. And so a lot of it sometimes is pushback, having them really understand the importance of getting everyone aligned to include themselves in this process to help the team succeed. The team has to see that they're really bought into why it's important that they're sharing these goals and these visions in order for them to follow suit. So this starts from the top. This starts at our owner doctors and works its way down through the rest of the team to get that buy-in.
Wow, so powerful. And let's say you are one of these doctors, right? You're owner doctor, you got your team, and you're like, I really want to help my team start to move forward. I want to build a better culture. What's one small shift that a doctor can make this week to start building a better team culture?
Oh gosh, one thing that the doctor could do.
One small shift, and it could be mindset, it could be an action, it could just be like as simple as opening your door. What's something that you would encourage a doctor to do to start building a better team culture?
Yeah. Um, I am a huge proponent of like care to share, right? Or like
Hmm.
we want to encourage our team members to keep being amazing. So if we are not running morning huddles and we are not picking something amazing that someone did the day before to share in our morning huddle, and it can be something anonymous about a team member, but bring it up, that's what I encourage everyone to be doing. That's the first step to meetings if you are not doing those. And our doctors can be a part of that. And
Hmm.
again, meetings have to be valuable. But if we're not meeting with our team and if we're not encouraging a good start to our day, I would say let's start there. Let's be the rally to the troops to get them going for the day and work our way into all of the other amazing things that our owner doctors can be doing. Um, but meetings for sure to encourage our team.
All right. So I'm going to ask you another hard one here. So
Yeah.
let's say you are this office, leader. You are the owner doctor, and you're like, you know what? It's time to really start pressing in. I haven't been doing these morning meetings. I know this is important. To start to doing this, but you get some negativity in the team. You get some resistance, right?
Yeah.
How do you push forward, right? And so how do you coach the leaders in the practice to handle resistance or negativity that may come from the team without creating additional tension in the office?
Yeah. If we use a morning huddle as an example, I know that that's a tough one and it can be a really, really hard thing to implement if it's never been there before. And it's typically the pushback to arrive and give up that 7 to 10 minutes prior to patient care. Um, what I like to do is to encourage the team and encourage our leadership in those offices to say, like, we're going to give this 90 days. And in this 90 days, what we're going to do is if we have to pivot anywhere in here, we can certainly do that. But I want you guys all to come together and we're going to, you know, hit the ground running with this. And we're going to make our mornings amazing. We're all going to understand where we are in the day. And the best part about this is what we can do is we can bring up little instances where we've gotten caught up in our previous days. And so it's important to recognize why we're implementing something like this and the benefit to what it's going to do for the practice.
Hmm.
And again, having that buy-in from our doctors and from our management team But with the understanding that when we have to pivot, it's okay. It's okay, but we're going to stick this out. We're going to do this. We've got 90 days and we're going to do it together. And we're going to do it together and we're going to be happy about it. We're going to be proud of where we get when we finish this race.
I love that. Right. So inspiring, right? You once again coming back to creating that vision for your team and getting everyone excited, getting that buy-in. And so for a practice that's growing fast, what are some advice that you'd give to the owner doctor that really keeps the team from breaking down? Because right, if you are a fast growing practice, you can have some more team issues that a smaller practice may not have.
Yeah, that's an interesting question because our quicker to grow practices, I feel like, struggle a little bit more. And I feel like they struggle because we're not only doing a little bit more recruiting and we're bringing on team members, but our systems are also growing and our positions are growing with the onboarding of new team members. And if we kind of backtrack all the way to when I said, you know, the people, I always put the people first. We have to remember that the system is a system, but there's a person sitting behind that
Mm,
system. And when we've got these larger teams and we feel like we're constantly recruiting and onboarding team members, understanding the system that we've got in place has to be so important. So are we doing 30, 60, 90 training? Have we onboarded this person with like week 1, week 2? Are they meeting the important people, the office manager leads, everyone on our team that they need to? um, it's very strategic in how we're bringing these people into our space. And then that training needs to be consistent check ins. So I feel like when we have these large teams and we start to see that crumble happen, every so often we've got to take a back seat and we've got to look at the system and where it broke down to
mm,
determine, was it the person it broke down with, or did it break down because of something that we missed? And, you know, I like to always be giving the person the opportunity to succeed. And if we
mm,
failed somewhere, I'm going
mm.
to take ownership of that. And I teach my leadership teams to take that ownership. And we need to do everything we can to make sure that the person succeeds because of something we may have missed.
Wow. If you need to stop the recording, you need to rewind and listen to that again. That is so powerful, right? Give your team members the opportunity to succeed. And Danielle, when we come back after a quick break, I want to dive a little deeper into people first and what that really looks like in a practice, and maybe dive into a story or two about how improving staff culture actually increases patient satisfaction and retention, and really helps that practice. So we'll be right back here after a quick break.
You're listening to the Dental Wealth Nation Show, where we give you the keys to building true wealth. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with the friends you care about. Ready to level up? Grab a copy of my #1 best-selling book, Dental Wealth Nation, and unlock the secrets of building true wealth today.
So Danielle, we've been talking about people first. We've been talking about building a happy team, and we've talked about the importance of just really putting your team first. And when you do that, it doesn't just lead to a happier team, but it can also impact patient experience too, can't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, that's the whole reason we're trying to build these super uber happy practices with our team, is for our patient experience.
And so, can you share a story or an example of a practice you've worked with, and maybe a little bit of what the culture was like before, and how you helped them? What were some of the things you worked through, and how that did lead directly to better patient satisfaction and or retention?
Yeah. I have had the pleasure of working with some of the most amazing doctors. And what I can tell you is, since we were just talking about larger practices, I think that um, speaking about larger practices is what I'll do here. When we've got our larger teams and we've got multiple doctors and multiple team members, specifically in our front office, we tend to get a little lost. And sometimes we get
Hmm.
lost in understanding who belongs where, what our seats are called, what our job description or job duties are. And that starts to create a little bit of confusion for not only our team members in what are they good at? And when I say what are they good at, the team member starts to ask themselves, what do I do? What am I good at? I feel like I'm lost doing this. And I was experiencing that with one of my teams. And what it ended up leading me to was evaluating who we had sitting up in our treatment coordinator seats and who we had sitting in our insurance coordinator seats and saying, "Oh my gosh, I just experienced her checking in the patients almost in like our patient care coordinator role, and it was amazing.
Hmm.
Her phone skills were amazing. That is her calling." So sometimes our patient satisfaction, when we've got that confused patient, I don't know what I'm supposed to do next, our treatment acceptance has declined a little bit on the office side, our employee satisfaction and has gone down just a little bit, or the morale is not quite there because they don't understand what they're doing. We've just got some shifting to do. Are our employees in the right seat?
Hmm.
Are they happy? Or did we think that they needed to move and shift? And so we did it for them, not understanding what their strengths and weaknesses were.
Wow.
And so I've seen that quite often and helped teams to recognize when they've got a really, really strong team member that they were like, I don't think this person's working out. And I'm like, I think they're in the wrong spot. And
Hmm.
we move them and they succeed. And so I think that when we've got these issues going on in these offices, it's again kind of taking yourself out of the situation and looking from afar and saying, okay, what am I missing? What do I have to reevaluate? Um, and and sort of looking at all the pieces and trying to put the pieces back together on where they could be for the success and the culture change and everything else and for the patient experience change. But I'll tell you, when we did that, it's been night and day difference in some of these practices.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
and what I also hear is, right, putting people first and building a happy team, right? Part of putting people first, it's not just the leadership, it's also the staff and them being able to put each other first and look for everyone's unique abilities and skills and what's that person really good at. And so this really is a group effort. It certainly starts with the leadership, but it sounds like people first is really just a mindset everyone should have.
It is. I truly believe that when we recognize and when we can look at each other and see the strengths and the weaknesses, perhaps that we've each got, you know, we understand where we can help and we understand where we might need to look elsewhere in specific team members for the assistance or to tag someone in for that next role. I feel like in what we do, we've too often said, well, you're going to sit at the front desk. And once we grow a little bit, we need to hire someone else. So we pull that front desk person and we put them in a
Mhm.
seat. But maybe they're not meant to be there because they're truly that amazing spirit up in the front, welcoming patients. And they're so amazing on the phone. And their calling truly is up at that front desk. So what we needed to do was look for an actual treatment coordinator to fill that seat instead of shifting the people that we had all around the office, not understanding if they were going to succeed or not. We made that choice for them and it didn't work out. And then in the office side, we get frustrated and we don't know what to do after that. So yeah, I think in a lot of ways we can save ourselves a lot of the grief and heartache if we look at the people that we've got sitting with us and we truly understand who it is that we're working next to every day.
Hmm. So, what role does actually kind of really understanding the team and things like doing assessments or strengths and weaknesses, right? Whose role within the office is it to do that and start figuring out where everyone belongs? Is this a group effort? Does it fall on the doctor leaders, or does it fall on an outside consultant and a coach like you to really come in, right? How do you start figuring out if people are in the right seats?
Yeah, that's a great question. I truly believe that it depends on the size of our practices.
Mm,
I know that in our smaller practices, sometimes it's going to be our doctors. Maybe we don't have an office manager yet, and we've only got a patient care coordinator, maybe a couple of assistants, and a hygienist, right? So our doctor's really going to be that person that we're looking at for the guidance on are our team members truly being used for their unique capabilities and talents in the right seat. When we've got those office managers and team leads, realistically, we're really hoping that our leadership team is meeting together and truly talking about what these people encompass and who's great in what seat and what that looks like. And have we met with our team members regularly to understand their goals and aspirations and their, career goals and personal goals? In certain cases, absolutely having a business coach such as myself coming in and doing these assessments with your team or teaching your leadership groups how to do these assessments of your team is something that's very valuable so that you understand in the future how to do it.
hmm. Now, Danielle, you've also helped so many practices, and I want to know just a little bit more about you. But what's been rewarding for you in helping all these practices build a people first and happier teams?
I would say the most rewarding thing is truly seeing um, the success of not just like the practice in numbers, seeing the practices grow to where the doctors want them to grow has been
Hmm.
amazing for me. But truly seeing the team members come together and become like a family and have these open door policies, and all of a sudden having these valuable meetings and learning how to communicate with each other. That's been something that it's so near and dear to me that I walk in and they're having difficult conversations with each other that are they're hard. They're hard to have, and they're doing it and they're killing it. And it's a beautiful thing that they can do those things and then walk through this office together with alignment, and it's a beautiful thing when it happens, and they're growing, they're doing it.
Yeah, wow. Now, how can our listeners connect with you and learn more about what you're doing at Easy Dental Solutions?
Yeah, they can connect with myself or the rest of the team directly from our website. They can chat with us through there, through our text and email. Um, we're on all socials. We're a pretty cool group of gals to chat with. But yeah, we're open to any questions anytime. So we'd love to answer any questions anyone has for us.
Excellent. And any kind of final thoughts for doctors who really want to grow their practice, but they don't want to burn out or lose their team along the way?
Yeah, right now I feel like everyone feels like they're struggling trying to find the good fit as far as hiring is concerned. And if you've got those good fits and you want to keep them in your space, let's do everything we can to elevate them and make sure that training is done correctly and that we're doing regular check-ins with our team, that we understand what their goals are for not just the practice but for themselves, and that we're all aligned and moving in the right direction, making sure we're sharing our vision and aligned in core values. We want to make sure that the people on our team are truly, truly aligned with where we want to go.
Mm. Oh, such good wisdom. Well, hey, Danielle, I know I certainly am walking away knowing why every team member deserves an opportunity to succeed, right? We've talked about just the importance of that. And I certainly have a fresh perspective on what your team needs to succeed. And that's good communication. That's your people first framework. And I know, and you as listeners feel more inspired to get out there and equipped to lead with clarity, build that happy team, and create that practice and culture where everyone wins. And so, Danielle, thank you so much for being such an amazing guest and sharing so generously with us.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
So, and actually our friend Dickie just joined in and he says, such great information. Thank you. Dickie's a dear friend, and he's who I use for handpiece repair, one of the greatest out there. So our good friend. So, hey, Danielle, thank you again.
Yes, thanks.
And we'll see you all here soon again on the Dental Wealth Nation Show.
That's a wrap on today's Dental Wealth Nation Show. If you've loved today's insight, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and share the wealth with your dental friends. I'm Tim McNeely, and remember, your amazing life of significance is just one smart decision away. Keep thriving, and catch you next time on the Dental Wealth Nation Show.